What's going on, guys? Welcome to this video. Today we're going to talk about something that some of you might find yourselves in this situation. I've been in this situation partially when I was younger. I used to be in boarding school for like a year, and I love the gym too much, and so I would train obviously the weekend at my house and the gyms I could access to when I wasn't at the boarding school. But as you know, a boarding school is where you sleep for like Monday to Friday at the school, and so I couldn't see myself not gymming. So what did I do? Well, gladly I had quite a lot of home gym stuff, so I would just bring my weights to the boarding school instead of bringing my books and everything that was related to school. I was instead bringing my gym stuff. That really made sense to me at the time, and it still does, so I wouldn't change this at all. But obviously, I wouldn't advise this to people. School is good. You gotta go to school and learn the stuff, and not gym in your bedroom until midnight, and then waking up at 6 a.m. in the morning and sleeping as soon as you start the first class. But no regrets again. And so obviously I was facing the issue of not having a lot of weight. I was bringing as much as I could in my poor bag. That today, this bag, I don't know where it is, that luggage, but it's dead. Because I used to bring like worth 40 or 50 kg in a bag. Can you imagine this? So obviously I was just bringing as much as I could, to the point that people, I think, looked at me like, what the hell does this guy have in his bag? When I was going to school, I was literally carrying that thing that was so heavy. I had like 3 books and the rest was just all weights. And so 50 kg that I had in my room for 5 days, and 50 kg is actually quite a lot in a sense. And I know some of you watching this video might have less than this, and or people who are starting at their home gym or wherever. If you're someone who is like 15 or 16 years old or whoever, and you don't have a lot of weights and you're starting with whatever you can, then I'm sharing here my little experience of experiencing the fact that I didn't have access to my full gym like I had the weekend, and I was at boarding school dealing with 40 or 50 kg worth of weights. And so I would have never thought of how to deal with this if I wasn't facing this issue. But I was facing this issue, and it taught me things in the end that were very important for situations like this when you have a lot of weight. How can you still improve? My option here, was obviously I was sitting down and thinking, how can I keep improving at boarding school with just 40 or 50 kg worth of weights? The solution was actually pretty simple. I focused on exercises where you can go heavy with not a lot of weight. So what does it mean? Well, usually that means that we're talking about isolation movements. Obviously not compounds. What are you gonna do with 50 kg on a compound movement like a bench press or a deadlift? Unless you're like a full beginner, and even not a beginner, like if you're someone who's never touched a bar in the gym and you're like a man, usually 50 kg deadlift is something that you will do pretty easily, at least for most people. So obviously compounds were in the solution. I had to focus on isolation movements. Although some isolation movements, even with 40 kg, is not much. So it depends on the isolation exercises. So I decided basically the weekends when I had access to my gym back home, that I could obviously go, with normal training and go as heavy as I could, because I had access to like a normal gym with as much weight as I wanted to scale with different exercises, etc. But my strategy had to be different for when I was at boarding school, and I used to do biceps and shoulders when I was at boarding school. because these were the exercises, the muscles where I could actually go heavy on without a lot of weight. And my exercise for shoulders were lateral raises. So you can imagine with around 40 kg, 45 or 50, I can't remember exactly how much I had, that I could go heavy with lateral raises. As an intermediate, obviously if you have up to like 25 kg for each hand on lateral raises, which I wasn't particularly doing, I was going up to like 20 or 22 and cheating as well. But you know, that's definitely enough weight for lateral raises, and you have room for improvement. And that was incredible for me, that I could still actually improve with not a lot of weight, as long as these exercises that I was using, I could go heavy with them without having a lot of weight. And obviously for biceps, I did, well, a lot of curls basically. And again, these were exercises like curls where 25 kg on each hand was like more than enough for me at the time. So despite not having a lot of weight, I could still improve because I focused on exercises, you know, that allowed me to still progress despite not having a lot of weight. And this is, you know, what exercise selection mostly is to an individual going to the gym. We all often talk about exercise selection. You know, it can be what are the best exercises for my body morphology, or it can be what are the best exercises in the situation I'm finding myself in right now. You know, you deal with what you have at the moment and what is going to be the best exercises for me to keep improving despite the obstacles. That's part of exercise selection. There are many things that are related to the definition of exercise selection, and that can be one. So if you're at home and you have, you know, maybe 20 kg or 30 kg worth of weights, you basically don't have much. What you have to do is to find exercises where you can, not with a lot of weight, actually go heavy and actually have something where you can progress. That's really my advice. And the second thing that came out of this is that obviously there are not many exercises that you can really go heavy with, not with a lot of weight. You know, you don't have gem exercises like lateral raises for every muscle. For back, for example, it's gonna be pretty hard, you know. Rear delts, that's fine. But like for back, you know, doing rowings with like 20 kg on each hand, then it's not heavy anymore. So you want to basically find this isolation exercise where you can go heavy with not a lot of weight, and then focus on these exercises mainly, because as I said, you don't have many like this. So once you find one, you will actually have to kind of like replace the amount of volume that you would do in a normal session. So like imagine in a normal session you do like 4 exercises of like 4 sets, that's like 18 sets. What I used to do is that I was doing lateral raises for like 18 sets. So I know it might sound like almost unnecessary volume, but at the end of the day, it wasn't unnecessary volume because I was just doing as many sets as I would do if I had different exercises, you know, in like a normal gym, for example. So the overall volume was basically the same, you know, just with one exercise that was lateral raises, doing 18 sets, like I would do, for example, in a gym with 4 different exercises. And, you know, obviously, you will do, for example, your 4 first sets of lateral raises with a certain amount of weight. And then, you know, when you can't really do this anymore, well, you decrease the weight and you do as much as you can. You know, the most important here is also to track what you're doing exactly, so you know when to progress, etc. So I just wanted to touch on something, so I'm, you know, coming back to the video. Obviously, some people might think, well, when you do 4 exercises or 4 sets, usually you target different angles. So here, for example, with lateral raises, me doing 16 sets is just targeting the medial delt. So you might think, well, it's actually a necessary volume then. But to me, that was all right. I could handle this. Again, my life was pretty much around, you know, gymming, and even if I was doing 16 sets on like just the medial delts, that was alright for me. So again, I could understand, you know, you questioning yourself about this and if it's not too much. My advice is that, for example, if you were in the gym, you know, in a normal gym to train shoulders, and you were doing maybe 3 exercises or 4 sets, which is 12 sets, then maybe if you are in a position, for example, where you can only target one exercise, like I just described here, like, you know, lateral raises, do a bit less volume. You don't have to replace, you know, the 12 sets you would do with 3 exercises by, you know, 12 sets of lateral raises of just one exercise. You can do maybe 10 or 8. And again, this is how you feel, what you think you can do. If you think that's too much, then by any means don't push this far. Myself, I felt like I could, so I did it. But to me, in my opinion, again, I think it's reachable for most people, and that the people will say that it could be maybe way too much or not reasonable. Again, I think that people who can be focused, have the time for it, will just find it beneficial to focus on one exercise like that and actually apply more sets. So again, you know, look at yourself and if you can actually do this, and don't, you know, partly copy me. And regarding the way you can train, here with the isolation movement, there is lateral raises. You could do, for example, 2 strengths for like the 5 first sets, and then for the last, you know, 5 or 10 sets, you would do more higher rep type of stuff. So, you know, just with one exercise, still follow like, you know, the normal way of how you would train normally, which is usually a strength work at the start and then more hypertrophy work at the end. So yeah, back to the video. In my opinion, having this only one exercise, for example, for shoulders that was lateral raises, and not having the choice to actually do a lot of sets with it, because I didn't have, as I said, a lot of exercises where I could do the same heavy stuff with not a lot of weight, was incredible, because it taught me also that focusing on what matters is the most important, and that having too many exercises in general in bodybuilding is pretty pointless. For example, having exercises that are like very similar, you know, what's the point of doing 2 exercises that are like exactly the same in the gym? Just pick one and do more sets if you want to on that one, rather than like doing 2 exercises that are doing the same thing. You're just gonna waste time, like, you know, switching the exercises, the setup, etc. You're losing focus. Obviously, try to narrow down the exercise that you use to the bare minimum. So for example, targeting like a muscle angle. So for your back, you could have, for example, 3 or 4 exercises to target, you know, all angles of back, but you don't need more than this. So pick one exercise for each angle of a muscle. And if, you know, this muscle doesn't have many angles to target, then, you know, you might only need 2 exercises, and that's fine. So it taught me 2 things: not to have a lot of weight. It's to obviously adapt the exercise selection so you can go heavy with not a lot of weight. And secondly, to just hammer the exercise that is good for you at the moment. And that apply to, you know, for example, just the fact that you found an exercise that is good for you and your body morphology, that, you know, an exercise where you won't hurt yourself in the long term is a good exercise for you, and you should probably hammer this exercise rather than try to find other exercises. So if you're at home and not with a lot of weight, that's why I can advise you. I can advise you to work on small muscles as well. And again, I made just a video on forearms. It's a pretty small muscle where, again, you can go heavy on this muscle without having a lot of weight. So it's a perfect example. Shoulders are a perfect example of this. Otherwise, you just gotta, for example, for chest, obviously, an exercise that could be good is flies. You know, an exercise where, despite not having a lot of weight, for example, you have 20 kg on each hand, You know, if you do flies and you're like a beginner or intermediate, you will still be able to improve a lot until you get, for example, 20 kg on each hand. Obviously, at some point, if you're like intermediate, like at this point, I just expect, you know, you to buy more stuff or to go to a commercial gym or whatever. Obviously, at some point, like you can't just magically, you can actually, you know, improve forever with not a lot of weight if you really know how to make your session heavy, although you don't have much stuff. But, you know, that's for another video, I guess, where, you know, we dig deeper. But, you know, don't make the things too complicated either. Like, you know, if you can actually buy more weights, just do it. But here I'm talking for people who, they don't have the option for that currently. Another thing, for example, for back that you can do and the right exercise selection if you don't have a lot of weight, well, that's pull-ups, you know. I mean, a pull-up bar is not very expensive. You can always buy, you know, not even the greatest pull-up bar things, you know, the things that you attach on your door, you know, and you just need, you know, again, 20 to 30 kg. You have such a huge progress to do there, from the start you're a beginner up to when you can do sets with like 30 kg with your pull-ups. You know, for your chest and triceps, you could do dips, for example, between, you know, chairs or like tables. Probably tables is better because more stable and solid. And here again, you can try to, you know, find a solution to put some dumbbells in between your legs and do the sets. And here you can actually have a long way of progression before you actually, you know, need more weight. So, you know, if you don't have a lot of weight, you do have to focus on intelligent exercise selection where you can go heavy, not with a lot of weight. And if you have, you know, questions about what kind of exercises can I do, I will happily answer in the comments, you know, for each muscle, what's probably the best exercise where you can go heavy, not with a lot of weight, and still improve a long way at home, despite not having a lot of equipment. So I hope you enjoyed this video and this advice that I gave you. I think this is, you know, a lot of value for the people who are struggling at home and trying to do exercises like, you know, squats, body weight squats, and they just end up not improving because obviously they can't improve on this, or they're trying to do deadlifts with like, you know, stiff leg deadlifts, for example, with like, you know, 15 kg on each hand, and they don't progress obviously because it's too easy. You know, if you're struggling with this and understanding the right exercises where you can actually improve, not with a lot of weight, go in the comments below and I will answer you and try to help you. And I hope otherwise that you will find the ways and use this advice that I just gave you to improve at home despite not having the right equipment. So thank you for watching this video, guys. Also, don't forget, obviously, to, you know, specialize once you have this exercise and just hammer these exercises that you found for yourself. So yeah, otherwise, I'll see you soon for a new video. Feel free to subscribe and to comment, and I will see you very soon for a new video. Take care.